kiss for you.
So, hello. Today we're just going to be talking about a couple of different things. Nothing really super special, not really super edited. I had a edited video up a couple days ago, hopefully, about GeForce Now, my experience with that. Today I really want to talk about why I switched to Xbox. So, a couple people might know, if you saw that video or any other previous videos, that I have recently gotten an Xbox Series X, which is a $500 new console. By those people, yada. So I got an Xbox Series X recently because of, well, a number of reasons I'm pretty much going to talk about here. I was able to get my hands on it around November 25th, which is really nice. And yeah, so I'll have a review on that at some point soon. But I recently, I guess you could say, switched to Xbox because before I had a PlayStation 4, used it not as much as I think I probably should have used it. I didn't really get a ton of games. I got like Horizon Zero Dawn, Final Fantasy 15, Persona 5 Royal, and that's basically it. I had like Ratchet and Clank and some other ones, but I didn't really like play a ton of PlayStation 4 games. Not because I didn't really like the exclusives, more of just I didn't find it that interesting. I like had my PC, and so I just didn't have a reason to really want to like play PlayStation games if they were like compromised or quality or whatever. Basically, I had a PS4, whatever that, and I liked it. I liked the PS4. I surprisingly, even though I didn't play a ton, I still liked having it and having that console around. I thought, okay, when the PS5 comes out, we'll get that. Well, since I moved to college recently, and that's why I haven't been uploading videos, is because college is taking a lot of time. Since I've uploaded, since I've been in college, I haven't been able to bring my PC because it's very heavy and big and all that stuff. Haven't been able to bring my PC, so I've been forced to use my laptop and go to GeForce Now, and that's why I ended up releasing the GeForce Now video, was because I was looking okay, I need to play my game. I want to play games, and the PS4, which I brought, but I wasn't like that great, so I got my laptop, got GeForce Now, and that's basically why I made that video for, the experience of that. So the original idea was to get a Series S, but unfortunately went in the buying process and panic and all that stuff. Wasn't able to get that, got the Series X instead, and the main reason why I switched was because I guess you can see by my notes here, just a couple things that I ended up writing down. So it was really a process. I had to keep thinking, okay, do I want an Xbox this new generation, or do I want a PlayStation 5? What I ultimately decided is I wanted the Xbox for a number of reasons, and the main reason I actually got an Xbox instead was because of the multiplayer and Game Pass. So I knew Game Pass was going to be great, and I knew that if I wasn't going to be getting an Xbox, I'd be missing out on that, but I was like, okay, there's no real reason for me to get an Xbox since I have my computer. Except in college, I can't really use that. So it's like, okay, if I get an Xbox Series X or an S or whatever, I can bring that to college, have my sister use my PC at home, and then we can play games together and stuff. So that was the main reason, I guess, why my parents ended up getting that, was so that we could play games together and not do other stuff. So that was the main thing of, okay, this, because I can do Game Pass. That was like one major thing, was Game Pass was going to be a bunch of games on this thing that we could play and download and have all that stuff. And with the other controller and stuff, it's on both accounts. We don't have to do any special things like that. We can just play a bunch of games. And we've been doing that here, and it's been pretty good so far with things like local co-op and online stuff. And so what you can kind of see here is it was sort of my like split deviation from what I believe Microsoft and Sony's like strengths are, just kind of comparing them. So Sony's PlayStation 5, if you want a comparison. So first off, it's bigger, right? This thing is like huge. This is the sideways, but the Xbox is like very compact and very small. Yeah, it's quite small. Yeah, like right here, it's actually like you don't really get a scale for it. But it's relatively small. I think the best actually comparison I have is you take like a 13-inch laptop. It's a little taller than that. It's compact, right? It's not large. It's not big. It's not obtrusive. And in this image here, you can really see the size comparison, size difference of them. We have one which looks big because it's at a low camera angle, but compared to the other one, it's just not, right? This is a very small device. And I might get some footage later on to show that. Yeah, very small device in comparison. So I switched because, well, one, the size, two, Game Pass, three, the multiplayer stuff. They just have better multiplayer games, even if there's not a ton of exclusives so far. And so I wrote down a couple things. You have a variety of single-player, multiplayer, first-party games. Crossplay is a big one. You can play with others on my PC and Xbox and PlayStation versus with PlayStation games. Usually it's only on PlayStation, and that's it. Maybe PC if you're lucky. So yeah, I wrote down variety single-player, multiplayer, first-party games with others on all platforms. There's an option for Game Pass, and if you pay full price for some of the games like Halo or Fable or one of those ones that are coming up, you get the game on PC too. So it was really a benefit for me. So if I decided to buy one of these, if they weren't on Game Pass for some reason, I get it on PC, so I don't have to buy the game twice, which is really good. Cross-gen controller, so if other people wanted to play on it as well, they could bring their own controller. Cross-platform playing, which is, again, what it was for here, playing on different platforms. Cross-platform buying, which is effectively their velocity architecture, which means if I bought it on like if I bought it on like an old Xbox, which I didn't have, but if I did, when I put the game into the Series X, it would automatically upgrade, right? And that's a whole thing I wanted to get into as sort of like a comparison, was really how these two handle the upgrades. So this one's automatic. You put an Xbox One game in, and 4 things will happen. It won't have any adjustments because of things like uncapped frame rate and that kind of stuff, or it will have adjustments that'll increase things like frame rate and resolution and how fast things load. Then you have another option, which is optimized. Things are specifically optimized, better graphics, better textures, that kind of stuff. And then stuff that is made for and optimized, which is the stuff built from the ground up to support these devices. Most things are going to fall into the, like Monster Hunter World, for example. Monster Hunter World, that's not how you spell those words. But Monster Hunter World isn't optimized. It's simply running the Xbox One X enhanced version of the game, and it looks great, right? It really does look great. This is the PlayStation version, and it looks like that. But if I look up the Series X version, which, by the way, isn't running on the Series X, it's running on the base. It's running like the Xbox One X enhanced version. Their enhancements and stuff are really great for that, basically what I'm trying to say. So, and it's not like a thing you have to wait for a download. It's automatic, right? You don't have to wait for a download, wait for it to support. Speaking of supporting, this supports 2K resolution, which is really important for me because this monitor I'm using is a 2K 144Hz monitor, and it should be able to support 2K 120Hz, which is really nice. PlayStation does not do that. PlayStation only supports 1080p or 4K, which was really annoying because I'm like, okay, now I can't really use it on a monitor. 1080p on a monitor, especially when they don't have good upscaling tech, is not great. So that's basically why that happened. Or basically why I, again, was thinking, okay, maybe this is better because it's what's 1440p. Variable refresh rate, which isn't really important now. Basically screen tearing, things like G-Sync, FreeSync, all that stuff, which this, interestingly, has FreeSync, so I could hook it up there, and since it has an AMD GPU, the Series X does, it'll less tearing, which is basically the spottiness. So, screen tearing in games. So, basically, this thing, where like half the screen gets cut off, and it's not like this is a still frame, obviously, but if you're in motion, like VSync or in motion, it kind of like smooths it out. So that's basically what that's trying to do, where things are starting to tear and move, and this fixes that problem. So variable refresh rate's like a different version of that's supported on some TVs and monitors or whatever. This supports it. PS5 does not. Saving game. Oh, this is a big one. So the built-in SSD is usable for next-gen games. But older games, like the Xbox One games and stuff, can be saved to an external hard disk and be played from there, which means I can plug in an external SSD, an external HD, all that stuff, and download my Xbox One games to that drive and have it be perfectly fine. I cannot do that on the PS5. I can only have, for instance, PS4 games saved on an external hard drive, but every time I want to play them, they have to be copied over to the main drive. So basically it's a storage, but it is not a extra storage. It's like, here's my backup of these games that I need to copy over, versus this, which is I can actually play these from there. Now there's an important distinction where next gen games for each of these. So let's go, what's next gen? Xbox haven't even announced. Oh yeah, the Medium is technically a next gen game. So, do we have gameplay? We do. So basically what having the medium is you can store it on the external hard drive or SSD and play it from there. Nope, you can't. Okay, so next gen games can only be played from the internal stuff because of the speed, but previous gen games like Forza Horizon 4, for instance, can be. So that's an important thing. Sony, you can't. You can only have those games as a backup. You can't play them from there. So that's quite important. 3D audio, which the Sony thing has, that doesn't really matter at this point because most TVs don't have the 3D audio support. Another thing, don't have to take the console apart to add more storage. And yes, it's more expensive, but that'll change. There's a expansion port in the back of the system. Right here, this little thing, the expansion port, slot it in, gives you an extra terabyte of storage. Great. Sony, you have to take it apart. So PS5 teardown. You have to take the entire thing apart, basically, which isn't great, just to get to the storage thingy right here. It's like a screw and undo the stand. It's not great. It's a mess. It's more like a computer, but honestly, that's a benefit. And then better performance in 120 hertz modes, or frames modes. There's some comparisons out there that are talking about the benefit that this has in certain frame rates and certain stuff. So I switched to Xbox because of the multiplayer and Game Pass things. Everything I mentioned, everything I went over here are other reasons you could switch. And I think they have a better ecosystem at the moment than Sony does. Because what Sony is really trying to do is lock you in again, which is fine. But I think this generation, people aren't going to do that. They're not, Sony exclusives are great. That's why people bought the PS4, 120 million units, because Xbox hadn't started to try. Xbox is trying now. They bought a bunch of studios. They bought Bethesda, and so they have so much power now that I think even without all this happening, they're still going to be heavy hitters, right? They don't have any now because they got delayed and Halo is delayed and it's a mess and stuff, but they're going to have a lot of very strong contenders for exclusives that Sony's not going to have. And yeah, they're not as strong. Maybe they're not as built up, and maybe Sony still has that thing. But I don't want to buy a $500 console to play only Sony exclusives. If we're doing 500, I want multiplayer stuff. I want intercompatibility and crossplay most likely. I don't want to be stuck to single player stuff, because another thing, I'm in college now, running out of time to play stuff, slowly, incrementally, running out of time to play games. And so if I'm running out of time, at least me, and I know other people have different things, if I'm running out of time, I want to just be able to pop on a multiplayer game, maybe do a single player game here and there, but not feel like, okay, I bought this $70, which is another thing, exorbitant price. That's why Game Pass is helpful. $70 for Demon's Souls, get halfway through it and then either lose interest because that ends up happening with these type of things, or just not have time to play it because I'm busy with other stuff and I want to play my card game, right? It feels more forgiving for people that don't have a ton of time to just pop something in or start playing a multiplayer thing, or even just a single player game, but it feels like you're free. It doesn't feel, even if it's not actually free, it just feels like you're free. And so that's ultimately why I switched to Xbox from a previous PlayStation owner. Any of those reasons, again, could be why you switched. I'd like to hear your take on this, what you think about Xbox and PlayStation and where you really reside. I know a bunch of people have done the opposite and switched from Xbox to PlayStation. If you're one of those people, I'd like to understand your reasoning behind that. But yeah, ultimately, I'm excited. I'm interested. I'll have a review on it soon, and so if you want to share this and all that stuff, that'd be great. 2 videos in a span of a week, so that's pretty nice. This probably isn't going to be edited much, but yeah. So if you enjoy this and want to see more on the channel, make sure to like, subscribe, and all that stuff. I'll have a review out shortly, and goodbye.